Can you somehow prevent your government to prohibit you from using their consulate services while you're abroad, and how you can get ready for this yourself? And should you? So, welcome to another talk with Sam. I'm now in Vietnam. I wanted to have a few days off. It's super nice. I highly recommend it to everyone who's almost burned out. I sort of had this thought while I was driving today for about 5 hours, and I wanted to make a video out of my inspiration. So welcome. There are rice fields behind me. It's super beautiful here. I highly recommend it. I'm at the north of Vietnam, around Ha Giang, and I don't have a tripod with me, so that's why I have to hold it like this, my phone. Anyway, so no, I make this video as a reaction to the recent news that Ukrainian people who live abroad, they cannot use anymore the consulate services. Russian government stated that they have never did anything like that, which is not really true. Actually, they did the same when the war started, when the conflict started. They actually, if I remember it well, so all the slots were full, or they were not providing this kind of services for now. So temporarily it was actually not possible to create yourself a new passport or so on. Why is it important? Because usually, for example, if you live in Europe, your it's called venge, your let's say allowance to stay, your visa is connected to your passport. If you're getting a new passport, you need to have a new approval for visa, even like if you're working, so you need to go through the whole procedure again. How do I know it? I used to work at an agency that used to help with this for about 3 months, and I burned out because it was like this crazy. It was like super hard. Anyway, so yeah, like this is the case. It's fortunately it's not a case in Georgia, for example. So you get a residency card, and then you are allowed to stay in the country. So this is one of the ways. So you can actually live in Georgia, and you can get a residency under certain conditions for, like, let's say up to 5 years actually, and then you can stay in the country technically without a passport. Like, you should get a passport, but actually, like, for the country itself, they care about your residency card, so you can prove your identity with your residency card, and that's fine. However, you cannot enter the country on your residency card. You need to enter the country on your passport. That's interesting too. But I think technically, like, they wouldn't deport you if you lived in the country, let's say, and your passport would be outdated. And why this information might be helpful, because if you're Ukrainian, you might exactly want to pack right now and leave to Georgia, because this is the country where you can stay for longer. Plus, you don't need to, you won't really use your space in passport for travels, because you are limited with your space in passport and you cannot get a new one. You can be in Georgia for 1 year without any approval, without any visa. You can make business there, there's low taxation, etc. And you can stay for 1 year, whole year without any visa. You get just a small stamp to enter the country, and then you can make a visa run once a year. So this might be helpful to you. Okay. So yeah, but most people don't know about this option, and I'm sad. I mean, like, it sucks. Okay, so let's talk about the problem. The problem is that no matter how much we think that that we are so independent from the government, so we're not. So we're actually stuck, because the current status quo in the world is that you sort of like have certain citizenship, and unless, of course, you can be stateless as well, but it's really harsh, and you cannot be stateless if you're the citizen of most countries. And there are countries in which you can be stateless. For example, if you're an American, if you're, I think, South African, etc. So you can revoke your citizenship and you can become a stateless person. However, that means that you don't have any passport, and you need to request visa for like every trip, and it's like super harsh and it's difficult, etc. Oh my gosh, just like, you don't want it. So yeah, it's like much more difficult for you to travel, but at least you have certain identity still. Like, you have hopefully something. But then, of course, there are a lot of people who don't have even their passports. It may be some immigrants, like who, you know, like even when you're requesting visa to Vietnam, they're asking you on your birth date, and you can just check there that you know only the year when you were born. Like, so imagine, like, there are people who live in this sort of reality. Why do I say it? Because if you just live in your country, or you don't travel that much, like in a way that you would like live there, or you don't talk to many foreigners, so you might don't have a clue about this, like, right? Which is normal, it's fine, like you cannot just know everything in the word, and I cannot either. So like there are many nuances in the word and many realities for different people. Okay, so despite all this, so let's say you have a citizenship of one country only, and you travel and you sort of like figured out taxation somewhere else, but still your government holds your balls. Like, I realize this exactly. Like, I used to talk to a lot of Russian people, and they were like, oh, I want to prolong my citizenship, and or not citizenship, sorry, you have a citizenship already, you can prolong your passport, you cannot prolong citizenship. Passport is a document like that that states your citizenship, but it's not citizenship itself. So like you can be a citizen without having a passport. That's also an important information. So I remember I was discussing this with someone, and they were explaining that some countries were exactly targeting the countries where that didn't allow actually double citizenship. But the thing is that they had a citizenship. It was like it's called honorable citizenship or something like that. So it's not citizenship, but it's like citizenship of honor. And once you want it to make it a full-scale normal citizenship, so you do it, but you don't do it at once. And it's exactly sort of like a hack how to avoid this double taxation, double citizenship, like when it's prohibited. So like this exists. We did this with Liberland as well. Anyway, so it's sort of like better for you to invest in the future. And then, of course, another very often case is that people just do not tell their former governments that they have a new citizenship, which is officially illegal, but I'm not really sure if there's certain fine. So like, I mean, reality check, okay? I still haven't got like, why is this important? Like, the thing is that really like your government still like really holds you. In a way, imagine that you leave your country, whatever, and you do not agree with what's going on with your country, but still like you understand how you're stuck. Because for example, the case like for, let's say, Belarusian people, right? So in 2020 they were like protesting outside. Europeans were supporting them, and they were like, oh, good luck, you know, like we're changing our Facebook photo. And the reality check is that a few years later, 2 years later exactly, like Europe be like, oh, you're from Belarus, like we're closing your bank account. And I'm like, what? It doesn't make any sense, right? But anyway, like, okay, let's just forget this governmental propaganda and PR and all these things, like how everyone tries to just like look good. But like for you as a person, like you cannot really, let's say like this is a case when you cannot like make Lukashenko not to be a president. Okay, it's like they really tried. I mean, like they really tried super well. Like, but you see that like when you have a totalitarian country, the best thing I think you can do is to go elsewhere and just to provide value. To create value when you're free. You cannot create value when you're in the jail. So I'm happy that many people left, but then like exactly countries are closing your bank account and so on and so on, and now they make you that you cannot prolong your passport technically, like, because also one of the things is that all these consulate services, if it's an embassy, so it's technically an area of the foreign country. So if you have an embassy, like by law, so like let's say you have an embassy of Ukraine in Italy, so it's actually a territory of Ukraine, it's not a territory of Italy. So technically they can like just give you this like I don't know, they can put you in jail. I don't think they have a jail there, but like if you get a point, so like you can be sent back to your country or something, like you can get something into some stamp into your passport, etc. I think it's not really easy. Like I don't want to be hypothetical here in what can they do, but yet then exactly like even like when you're requesting visa to certain countries, and if you don't have a very strong passport, you know yourself that to get a visa, it may take like months. So that like the closest, let's say, term for you to come to the embassy, it's in 3 months. Imagine that, like, and then your passport is like finishing, right? Or I don't know, whatever. Like you're running out of pages, and the government be like, and it can be, let's say, like even like you can have still like 3 years. But like 3 years is a super short period, and like your government be like, okay, you don't want to like fight for us, so we don't care about you, and like we won't provide you the services, and you don't pay us taxes anyway. And they just stop like providing you the consulate services, and that's it. And why do I say it? Is because you can think like I'm fine without my government, but then like you actually need it, so that like you will end up illegally somewhere, and then it depends on the country where you are at, but you actually don't really want to be illegal somewhere. Like you don't want to run out of your passport pages, and you don't want to run out of your passport getting expired. You can technically like hide somewhere. I know some people doing this, but I wish I wouldn't. I mean, like you don't want to it's not kind of life you want to have, I think. Like of course we can talk that like technically, like hypothetically, you can live in certain ways. Like you can just like get paid in Bitcoin. You don't need to have a bank account. You don't, because even like for the bank accounts and everything, you have to resubmit a new passport. You have to resubmit a new residence, etc., etc., etc. So they're like, they keep you like really on hold, and you cannot just like do anything you want. And so yeah, like reality check, you accept Bitcoin, you don't have any freelance license, you don't pay any taxes, and you live somewhere illegally until they deport you. I mean, like it's not really fun, right? And you just work for your friends somehow, who don't need to pay who don't need to put an invoice into the expenses. I mean, it's possible, you can do this, but it's not something you want. I mean, I think so. Okay, so what can you do? Well, I stated this like Georgia idea. I think it makes sense. I think like if you have the last 2 years, let's say, for your passport, or better 3 years, go to Argentina and just like I don't know, give birth to a child, and like or even after 2 years, just like apply for a passport. I mean, like that's the best thing you can do, because you have to also count that like it will take the process will take some time. So this is one of the things you can do. I think technically you can stay in Georgia and apply for this refugee status or something like. But even all these refugee status is, I mean, anywhere in the world, it's not really jokey, it's not really fun, it's not really easy. So good luck. And especially if you're a man, so you don't really have that many options. I mean, like they might like, there's a high refusal rate anyway. So like all these like refugee statuses is rather a country PR, but the reality check is that like they're not really doing it. But yeah, I think that Georgia is like, I mean, in reality, like it's one of those countries where you can sort of hide. I think like if you live, especially like if you would live somewhere in the mountains or something. I mean, like no one ever asked me for my passport stamp, like, or something. So like, I mean, technically, plus you can get this residency card if you have a business there for some time. So it's like, it makes sense. And yeah, like it's but it's really hard to get citizenship. Like you can apply for it after 10 years of living there and having a residency card there. So it's not that easy. It's like super long time. It can be half if you marry someone local, but I mean, like, you don't want to marry someone for citizenship, I guess. Yeah, so that might be a way. And like buy a passport, which is also like, we think that like, okay, this is like plan E, you know, like if everything all fails. And the reality check is, again, like imagine you're from Belarus, so Caribbean countries restricted Belarusian citizens to buy a citizenship with them, period. So you're done, like you cannot like pay for it. Okay, then there's some unofficial like citizenship ways, like of, I don't know, like open some Telegram chat and like get this resolved by someone, I don't know. It depends on the level of corruption and etc. Maybe Mexico would make sense as well. I haven't said anything, okay. Yeah, but it's not really, I mean, I think it makes sense. Like, what I would do, yeah, maybe I would just go to Mexico and just find someone who would help me get local citizenship. I'm not talking about some official way. Like, officially, it's not possible, I think. But yeah, so, yeah. Brazil, giving birth of a kid. I mean, if you want kids anyway in the next years. If you have super short period of time, I'm sorry. Like, it's really hard. So yeah, maybe Georgia, trying all the refugee statuses you can, and still like preparing yourself to live somewhere where it's not that, you know, maybe like trackable, so that like in case like whatever happens, like just to know at least the places and be capable to survive in some conditions of like, let's say on an island, like where no one checks you. I mean, I don't know how you want to live. It's like really difficult, and I'm sad that like we have to sort of like make, I mean, search for these kind of ways of potential living, just like because of a citizenship, which is so crazy. But yeah, so like trying to find out some sort of balance in between what you want and how you're ready to live, and getting some skills that would help you with that. Yeah, I think that like if you will decide to live somewhere in the mountains, I mean, you can survive there, but like for how long, you know, like until it finishes, or it's difficult. It's really difficult. So yeah, I wouldn't think, you know, like in general, I prefer introspection. I don't like to be dependent on external events, because you cannot control them at any case. You can't. So like the sooner you get another citizenship, the better. Even if you get a residency card, it's good for you. You want to have a residency card. What's the matter about like the problem is like you need to do these things before, because for example, if you wanted to get let's say Uruguayan residency card, you cannot get it because you cannot anymore get done your documents, right? Potentially what I think you could try also is a power of attorney given to someone in your country. In now, like I guess that the case is Ukraine, so like giving it to someone in Ukraine and them shipping you the documents, but I'm not sure if they will be willing to do this. I mean, not to your friends, but the government. And that's sort of like the last idea. So yeah, I think that as best, if you want to be the freest, that's my concept of broadening individual freedom. So you want to rely on yourself, and how you can do it is just like trying to broaden these documents before, then rather sooner than later. The problem is that like all these things are changing super fast. Like it's getting very difficult, it's getting more difficult, it's getting more bureaucratic everywhere. Even like Georgia, which is like super low bureaucratic country, it's getting more and more difficult when it comes to bureaucracy, when it comes to even opening these bank accounts like remotely. I do it. I'm super happy that I can help like any nationality, like, which is really cool. You don't need to have any residency card, and for sure you want to have another bank account, like you want to have it in another country which is reliable and which just makes sense. And it's not possible to open the bank account in most countries, I mean, like especially without any residency card. So this is really super good. And again, like many people don't know about it. If you want it, text me please. And yeah. And also, no matter where you are from, who you are, whatever, get ready yourself, like make it as a checklist, like get ready for yourself all the documents, just to have them all the time with yourself. Your birth certificate, your that you finished university, I don't know, like all these things. You want to have this paperwork, just copy with this with yourself, because no matter what happened, you just want to take it and leave, and that's it. You don't want to care about this. This is something that you want to have ready, like no matter what the time of the year is, what's going on, etc. Like you just want to have it because you don't know when you will need it, and most likely you will need it. Like exactly, it's not something you can think about like today, but like of course, like if, for example, if there's some sort of conflict or something, so it's something that people are like mentally preparing for, which I see now in certain countries, and it's sort of worries me. Anyway, so that like people are preparing for this mentally, sort of like, yeah, maybe there would be war. I don't understand how government whatever thinks, blah blah blah. But the reality check is that like you're actually mentally preparing that it's possible. And so if you are in this case, if you're living in this country where it's a topic, where it's just a topic potentially that there would be some sort of conflict, so get ready your documents. Yeah, like you need to know all these things, like, and you need to get them ready today and not tomorrow. So like you actually for sure want to make your plan B like your plan A now. Like get ready for it. Like just assume that whatever like is happening. Why? Because then no matter what happens, you have all this like backup, and it won't have such an influence on you, on your life, if things go wrong. And the thing is, again, you cannot control it. And especially if you live in this, and if there's something really happening around you, the problem is that like you cannot see it. Like you can just see it potentially from the side, that like that's weird. But the reality is that like if you live in it, you just feel like, oh, it's so normal. It's not normal. It's not okay. You're not safe anymore. Like and when it's a topic, you know, like the problem is that like little by little you just get used to it. You get accustomed to talk about potential conflict in your country. It's not okay. It's not normal. It's not fine. Okay. So I studied media, propaganda. It's not okay. Leave. Like as best you want to leave. Like yeah. And yeah, like, you know, like then people are like, oh, it's so difficult, and I know it's difficult, but like you don't want to leave when your house gets like destroyed. Okay, I wish you all luck. I wish all of us that we wouldn't get into this case of like having to care about like other documents, but that seems that it won't be the case anymore. I'm really curious about like how the world events will turn out. In general, like in the next years, I think that we cannot really expect anything. It's really difficult. So let's see. Wish us luck and stay safe. And I wish us be as less dependent on the government as possible. Take care. Love.